Yo, what's good, everybody? I appreciate everybody checking in. We beat the Browns. We had a great win. AP showed his leadership. Undrafted free agents stepped up to the plate. Rookies came out and balled on the offensive line. And in true Raider fashion, this is what we get. We get nothing but drama leading into a divisional game. Is this something that we need? We needed? Absolutely not. But we got to jump on. We got to talk about it because at the end of the day, I mean, this changes the trajectory of our team, whether it's good or bad. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to jump on and discuss it. But this definitely changes the whole landscape of what our team is. And I got nothing but the best joining me. I got Chris, Protect the Shield podcast. I appreciate you. Severe is going to join us here in just a second. But Chris, how you feeling, man? How you doing today?
Man, you know me, man. I not feeling the best. Not feeling the best. By the end of the day, I'm not too surprised. You know, I chose to be a fan of a very dysfunctional football team, a very dysfunctional organization. It's my fault. It's my fault.
We chose this life.
Yeah, we did. You know, when you choose a dysfunctional organization, one of the most dysfunctional organizations in all of sports, you get stuff like this happen. So as I grow and become older and more mature, you know, I'm able to handle it a little bit more, but I'm not happy at all. I wish Tay all the success. You know, it is what it is, man.
It is, and we're going to jump into it. We're going to talk about basically how this all played out for everybody. I'm sure all those diehard Raider fans, you guys out there, you guys know what's going down. Obviously, earlier this morning, Ian Rappaport released that Tom Telesco was fielding calls for a potential trade of DEVANTE Adams, and then DEVANTE Adams went on social media later that day and said that he's requesting a trade. But it all went down real weird, real strange. There's levels to this. And we're going to dive into it, and we're going to jump into it. Chris, I'm going to get your opinion. Again, Severe, he's going to jump on here in just a little bit. But, chat, I want to get your opinion as well. But salute to the chat. Salute to you guys. We already got a bunch of people in the building, and that number is growing real quick. Emily, you're coming through. I appreciate you checking in. My 2 cents. I appreciate you rolling through. Big Dog John B, appreciate you pulling up. Leo, I appreciate you. Hey, good chilling with you this past weekend at the game, man. Cool Kev 75. I appreciate you rolling through. Jaw Raider 97. You pulling up. I appreciate you. Hit Stick Stepper always coming through. I appreciate you rolling up. Myra G, you coming through as well. And again, guys, SoCal Sal, you pulling up. I see you, man.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Shout out to everybody in the comments, man.
Yeah, you guys are coming through. Sun Goddess. Free Thinker coming through, man. So let's do this. Remember, guys, if you have a comment, you want me to put it up there. If you have a question for one of us, just hit that hashtag Raider so I see it. And so I can potentially get to it. I'm going to try my best to get to all of it. I promise. Jeffrey Wright, I appreciate you pulling through. Remember, I'm 805 Raider. My channel's Real Talk Raider Nation. I got my guy Chris at the Protect Your Shield podcast. Wherever you're watching from, hit that like button and go to the pages. Hit those subscribe buttons if you can. It definitely helps us out, and we definitely appreciate it. All right. So let's kind of break this thing down first, right? Let's break it down and just kind of see how this thing all laid out. Earlier today, and what's kind of weird is, and I didn't see the reports on this, but a lot of people are saying that DEVANTE Adams, he obviously sat out last week's game, but there were reports that were saying that he was actually good, that he could have played, which again, a little strange. Maybe they were just kind of playing it safe. A hamstring can go at any time. So you want to play those things safe, and we're going against a Cleveland Browns team that we should have won, but you never want to take anybody lightly. But it was a little strange that they said that he could have played. And then earlier today, DEVANTE Adams is on the Kay Adams show, and they're talking about it. And all of a sudden, at the end of this interview, Kay Adams brings up the fact that.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Brings up the fact that there's trade talks happening with his name in it, and DEVANTE Adams' reaction it didn't look like he just didn't know how to react to it. That's just kind of the take that I got from his reaction. And then the reports come out that Tom Telesco's fielding phone calls, And then I want to say a couple hours, maybe a few hours after that, bang, all of a sudden we get DEVANTE ADAMS now has requested a trade.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but you left out the part of the coach, the head coach of the team
yes,
with the like. The
yes,
head the
100%.
head coach of the organization.
100%. And you're right. That's what started. That's what started where Antonio Pierce saw a post on social media basically saying that DEVANTE ADAMS potentially wore his last game wearing the silver and black. And Antonio Pierce goes on and likes that post. Whether it was sarcastic, it doesn't matter what it was. But what was even worse is at the end of that K Adams interview is that he said he hasn't even talked to Antonio Pierce. So Antonio Pierce likes that, and then he takes it off. I think he removes the like from it, and then as of this morning, says that he hasn't even talked to Antonio Pierce. And so let's start this out, guys. One in the chat, do you agree or disagree with DEVANTE ADAMS being traded? Let me know your thoughts right out the box. Okay, let's hear it first. And then Chris, I'm gonna ask you, but more people are cruising in. I appreciate everybody rolling through. Again, I'm gonna try to get to all these comments. Raider Nation, Jason, I appreciate you pulling up. All eyes on G, you always coming through. I appreciate you. El Jefe Raider, I appreciate you coming through as well. Remember, guys, make sure you hit that like button wherever you're watching. Yell Rel, I appreciate you coming through, man. Straight from you.
Shout
You're a
out
Miami
Yale
fan. You're a Miami fan. Everybody welcome, though. You know what I'm saying?
For
as long
sure,
as you
for
want to
sure.
come through. The 805 Raider, you might be. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the
I thought you were the 805 Raider.
I'm about to say.
Oh, that's the 805 Raider? So you're a phony then.
Who knows? Who knows?
I need to be on a show with the 805 Raider.
We might have to see how this goes down. But everybody's rolling through. So let's do this, right? And again, Dixon South, I appreciate you coming through. Dev Royal 7, man. All you guys are coming through. Appreciate all the support. Remember, hit that hashtag Raiders if you want me to pull up a question or if you have a question for the panel. So let's do this. Chris, let's do initial thoughts, right? Obviously, you shook your head when you found out that Antonio Pierce liked that tweet or that social media post. What are your thoughts on just how this was handled right out the box from start to finish between the like of the post, DEVANTE ADAMS kind of being shocked a little bit, and then now he comes out and says he wants traded. How do you think it was handled?
No. So again, I don't know everything that happened behind the scenes, but I mean, it pisses me off seeing the leader of your organization, as far as the face of the organization, your head coach, liking. I mean, Andy Reid would never. Bill Belichick would never. Like, to me, that's so childish. That's petty. You know, okay, if you want to trade DEVANTE, keep it on the wraps. Like, why are you? Because the thing is, just earlier in the week, last week, he said he apologized to the team for saying the business decision, for basically saying that and being a distraction. He apologized. And then not only that, then you come back and do this. And then some people are like, oh, no, he's only trolling. We're not good to be trolling anybody. Like, AP, like, you're not doing that good as a head coach. Why are you instead of trolling, learn how to get this defense going. Learn how to get the offensive line going. Why are you spending time trolling? You know, I don't think he was trolling. I just think that was just how he felt. He was being immature. He's being childish, whatever. That's how I feel. And I think it's ridiculous. You know, I like Tay. Has Tay been upset about some things? Yeah. But I think for the most part, Tay has been pretty good at, like, whenever he had the chance to rebuke any kind of trade, he always said, I want to be in Oakland, or I want to be, my bad. I want to be in Vegas. I want to be a Raider. That's where I want to be. He's always made that clear. You know, if there's some things going on behind the scenes, keep it in-house, and then, you know, let us all be shocked at another time. But go ahead, man. I can go on and on.
So I'm seeing a bunch of people in the chat. You guys are coming through basically saying, I agree with the trade. Jeffrey White saying, no one's bigger than the Shield. DA already pretty much made the request. Yeah, possibly, again, Chris, to your point, you're saying we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, we don't.
805, the 805 Raider, business decision, maybe, you just don't know. And here's my thing is what's tough is here's the thing about AP. And sometimes you got yourself a Super Bowl champion, right? Is his head getting a little bit too big for the position in the sense that he thinks he can just kind of walk and do whatever he wants to these players? Like, look, who am I? Right? I'm the big dick on the block type of thing, right? And I don't care if you're DA. I don't care if you're Max. I don't care if you're this or that. I'm going to do what I do because I am who I am.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to humble yourself a little bit. Sometimes you got to understand the moment, understand the situation. Him going and liking that post, maybe that was him going, man, I do what I want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how he talks. That's how he presents himself. And sometimes that's how it's going to bite you in the ass in the position that you're in. And so, again, I don't know if that's, what it was. I don't know if that's just kind of what his mentality is, but it will eventually come to bite you in the ass because at the end of the day, you're dealing with grown ass men as well. If you want to have a successful team, you're going to deal with superstars that are the best in the world at what they do. And so you better learn how to deal with it. So again, that's only if he went on and like that, thinking, yeah, I support it and what? I stand on it. And if you're going to do that to DA, if you're going to do that to a player, that's a really tough move to make. And like you said, like, okay, Bill Belichick would never do it, but Belichick's got the championships to do what the hell he wants, to stand on business. You know what I'm saying?
Because you know who else who tried to go like that as a head coach? You know who else did something similar? Mike Singletary.
Mike Singletary.
You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say, yep.
Mike's, like you don't got the credentials as a coach to do that. Now, again, I'm all for holding people accountable. Like I love what he did with Jack Jones. And again, I can only speak of what we know. We don't know everything. Now, there may be some stuff that DA did behind the scenes that was real shitty, whatever. I don't know. I can just go by what I do know and what I think, and I'm just giving my opinion. But it's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And again, everybody knows I'm all for protecting the shield, literally. I feel that no players before the shield, but the shield got to make some sense sometime, man. I mean, honestly, like we're over 20 years in, and we're still making stupid decisions. Good organizations don't do stuff like this. But go ahead.
And I feel like I got to say this, right? And MG's Raider, I appreciate you pulling through, man. Where do we go from here? We're going to try to break this down in this whole live. So, man, stick with us. I appreciate you throwing a question up there. And so I guess I got to lay this out, right? I look at my passion for the Raiders kind of like it's like you look at your kids, right? I love my kids to death. I am for my kids. I always be about my kids. My kids are number one. But at the end of the day, I gotta critique them when they do something bad. Exactly. I gotta sit there and go, hey, you're acting stupid. You know what I'm saying? Or hey, what you just did was dumb. You gotta fix it.
Right.
And so you can love something, but also critique it.
Yep.
Yeah, you can have that constructive criticism. You can tell them, hey, that's not the right move. You gotta make sure you step up your game. Like this is kind of how it's the closest way I can just kind of describe the passion for the Raiders for some people is I am gonna be as straightforward and honest and blunt as possible when I see them do wrong, but I'll give them credit when they do right. And so that's kind of how it rolls. But man, almost 350 in the chat. I appreciate all you guys running through. I want to go through all these names and kind of give the shout out to Charm City J. I appreciate you coming through. Visual Combo. I just put your comment up there. Elmatic, you're pulling through. I appreciate you, David Walker. You're coming through. Foxy Scorpion. I'd love to run through all these names, but I'm telling you guys, I can't. But I just want to say I appreciate you coming through, Larry Fleming.
Shout out to everybody, man. We appreciate everybody. Everyone on Twitter. I think my boy. My dog pound or my dog's podcast is in here. My buddy he got a Cleveland Browns podcast. Salute to him. Thanks for coming through, man.
That's awesome. Let's see. Hashtag Raiders. Now, Larry Fleming, I appreciate you. Now let the boy ride this season out with us, unless we can get can't refuse an offer. I'm talking first round type deal or multi-pick scenario. So, Larry, what I'll say right now is
Shout out to you, Larry, though.
the moment you request a trade, or the moment an organization comes out and says they're fielding calls for you,
It's going down.
the faster you get out that building, the better for everybody, because you got to move on at that point. That's my thing. And this is where, Chris, to your point, you want to keep it in house a little bit. You wanted to, you didn't want to just throw it out there as publicly, or the way they did, right? AP liking that post, all that. I mean, it was just trash the way it happened. But the moment it's out, you got to move on quick, because I don't want Devontae stepping.
It'll be a cancer.
I don't want Devontae stepping another foot on that field at this point, because what happens if he gets hurt?
Oh yeah.
All right, and also you're taking away the opportunity for someone to develop. And so at this point, I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him gone the next couple of days, to be dead honest.
Oh,
but
you got to.
We'll talk about just kind of who we think could possibly be a potential trade partner and what that means, because every game that goes by, you got Devontae Adams' contract and the numbers. Every game that goes by, it lowers that the amount of money that our trade partner needs to absorb, and so that might play a role. But we'll kind of dive into that. Myra G coming through. Salute to you, salute to everybody in the chat. Let's go. Raider Fallon, you coming through. I appreciate you. And so look, it does. I'm just going through the chat. It does look like the majority of people are kind of on the board. They're on this boat. It's like, yes, move on. And I asked that question a little bit earlier. Do you agree or disagree? And here's my thing: is I agree with moving on with Devontae Adams. One, because he is an older receiver, right? Once you kind of get past that 32 mark, you start to see things go on the decline. I think he doesn't have as much separation as he did, 2-3 years ago. He's a massive salary cap hit. We owe him, I think it's 35 million next year, the 35 million the year after that, or I think it's 40 actually.
Yes, I think like 42 or 44.
It's like 40 and 40 next year, 40 the year after that.
Yeah.
And look, we don't have the quarterback that's going to feed him the ball. I think it's going to be a constant struggle to keep him happy. And he said it in past press conferences, is that he has alluded to the fact that he does look at his numbers. He does look at his catches. He wants to put a stamp on a team. And so we don't have the quarterback to throw him, 15, 16 balls a game and getting him his 8, 9, 10 catches and 120 yards a game. And so is it the time to move on from him? I won't disagree, but I will say, just like the Carr situation, I hate how it's playing out right now. It just shows to the dysfunction that our team has shown for so many years. So let me know if you disagree or agree, Chris.
No, I agree. So my thing is, I hate that it got to this point, but since it did get to this point, where, I mean, if the plan was to trade him, then why didn't we do it before the draft and go get Jaden Dane or whoever that we wanted? Like, why didn't we do it then? If that was the case, that's why I think whatever the issue is something new. I think somehow they're clashing heads. I think maybe even Telesco came to him and said, "Hey, are you open to restructuring your contract?" And like, it could be a lot of different things. It could be strictly money. Like, hey, are you open to restructuring your contract? It could be similar to what happened to Russell Wilson last year when Russell didn't want to give back the guaranteed money. It could be something like that where, he's like, no, I'm not going to restructure. Now, if it's something like that, and it's like, yeah, we cannot pay Devontae $44 million over the next 2 years or whatever. We can't. But just the way this, because honestly, especially, I think what bothers me the most is how petty the coach is, because Devontae could be just as petty now, because we understand that for us to trade him, it's going to have to be for a team that he wants to go to and he agrees to go to, because he can easily make it hard and say, hey, team A, B, and C, don't even try to trade it, because I'm not going to agree to, a new deal. I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. So just kind of how Carr was. Like, Carr, he'd have the no trade clause, but, he also was going to make make it hard for anyone. He's like, I want these teams. If you're not these teams, then forget about it. Don't waste our time. And I think he can be like that. Some people are like, oh, we're gonna get ones and twos and threes and a star play. We're not gonna get that much for DeVante. Mark my word. Mark my word, because we're not gonna have leverage in this situation.
We're not, because the thing is now that DeVante has requested a trade, right?
Yeah.
He's come out and requested a trade. That means that now teams know he wants out.
Exactly.
So we're not going to get a whole lot. And the one thing I want to talk about in a little bit later is, some trade packages. Are there other picks, other players that we might want to throw in the pot to potentially get the most value out of this type of transaction? We'll kind of dive into that as well. There was one comment, Sholau man, you basically said that Jordan Schultz and Adams and his camp had been seeking a trade for weeks now. I mean, I haven't heard that, but again, I'm not completely glued to the social media and all that stuff. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I've seen a couple people post that. I don't know. Again, all I go by is and I know people lie all the time. I just go by what's told to me. I take people at face value for the most part. So I don't know. I don't know. It seemed like Tay wanted to be here. I think he wanted to make it work. But you can only deal with dysfunction for so long.
Remix Revenge says AP needs to be fired now. I don't know if we're there just yet. But it's still early. I get there's a lot of people that are not. A lot of people don't like the way this was handled, and I don't. And I think Chris, you're saying the same thing. I don't know if it's to the point where we need to fire him, to be dead honest. But is he on? Are there now question marks as the season goes on, right? If more things start to come out, if drama continues to ensue, if we don't have a successful season now, you're going to have these people that are just not going to be on that AP fence anymore. Now, one question, and again, guys, I'm trying to go through this chat. If you guys have a question for myself, for Chris, hit that hashtag Raiders. I'm going to try to pull it up there. You guys are flying through the comments, and I'm trying to keep up. One question I do have is, that you have Antonio Pierce that liked this comment on social media. So there's got to be some sort of agreement, I would think. But who do you think? And Chad, I'm going to throw this out to you as well. D-Menace, I appreciate you coming through. Who do you think started this potential process? Do you think this is a Tom Telesco move, or do you think this is an Antonio Pierce move? Because a lot of people in the comments were saying this could have been the business decision. Who do you think actually started this process?
It's hard to say. Like I said, a part of it could be, maybe early on, Telesco, that they came to his camp and said, hey, we're looking to restructure. Will you do it? And he may have said no. Or it could have been, Tay could have been part of this business decision where he sat down, Jack Jones, maybe he said, hey, Tay, you left some on the field, I plan on sitting you. And Tay said no. I mean, I don't know, it could be endless things. So like, I'm not even gonna sit here and act like I know what it is. But to me it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was handled poorly. Whatever it was, we shouldn't be knowing about it, and it should have been handled behind the scenes. Us fans shouldn't be knowing about that.
Yeah, and here's my thing. Margie says, "Stop the tank talk." I believe. I agree. We're only 4 games in. We're 4 games in.
Our fans are ridiculous, man.
We got a long way to go.
We
got a long way to go, and we won without DeVante. I understand it was a banged up, injured Browns team, but I don't care who you are. It's hard to win in the NFL, and so we won with them. All right.
So okay, so I had a pleasure of meeting you this weekend. We had a blast. And we both were able to kind of talk about ball, just us playing and stuff. So you're competitive too. Could you imagine like leadership or your coach or whatever kind of implying that you want to tank? Like would you respect anyone that even had that in their mind to tank?
Never.
Like never.
Because as a player too, it's the moment you let up is the moment you potentially get injured.
Exactly.
And so that's the biggest thing.
You can't half-ass it. Yeah.
You can't half-ass it. Not in the game of football. You half-ass it, you're going to get injured. And so there's no way. There's no way in hell I'd ever stand behind a coach
Ever.
or even players that said, "Oh, I'm making business decisions," if that's what AP was talking
Yeah.
about. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's why I think I said last week, it might have been on one of my videos or the lives, basically saying, look, by Antonio Pierce coming out and saying players are making business decisions, you are jeopardizing their career. Because if any other players in the league think another player is making a business decision, they ain't going to line up next to you.
Exactly. You lose all respect for him. That's what I'm saying. That's why these fans, they kill me talking about tanking. It tells me more about them as fans, man. It's ridiculous, man.
So here's the only thing that I will say when it comes to one of the things that I was questioning, because Antonio Pierce got the job before Tom Telesco. Tom Telesco was brought on as the GM. Again, Mark Davis kind of did ass backwards, right? So Antonio Pierce got the job. So we're trying to figure out, okay, who's truly in charge here? And yes, AP came on like a social media post, so it makes it a little strange. But this kind of tells me potentially that Telesco truly, I think, is in charge of this roster. Only because him going out and I think now understanding DEVANTE ADAMS is older. He has a massive salary cap. Maybe I can get the most out of him right now because there's a lot of receiver needy teams in this NFL right now. You got the Rams that have a bunch of injuries to their wide receivers. You got the Chiefs that have a bunch of injuries to their wide receivers. You got the Buffalo Bills that could use another wide receiver. You have so many receiver needy teams that maybe this is opportunity to get the most bang for his buck. And so maybe this truly is a Tom Telesco run team and AP is just kind of following along. So I'll just kind of throw that out because also Tom Telesco is going to look big picture. He's looking big picture. He may not be looking this season. He might be looking big picture. How do I get some capital, some draft capital? How do I get some more salary cap? Because we also do have I think the sixth most salary cap space with I think 27 million that we haven't even touched yet. And you can move that salary cap to next year. So is he prepping for something? Is he prepping for a bigger move? So I'm just going to kind of throw that out there. Larry Flem says trade him to the Rams or San Francisco. We'll definitely get into the trade talks. So the other thing I want to ask is, and I think I might have touched on it for a second, but I don't think we dove into it. Do you think this has any effect on the locker room as it stands right now? You see how this was dealt. You see how Antonio Pierce liked a social media, post. Do you think this has any negative effect on the locker room as it stands right now?
Me personally, I do. I mean, at the end of the day, he's regardless of what people say, he's a leader. The young receivers look up to him. I mean, people on the team, I mean, they look up to him because like he's always done, he's always been about, having a standard. And, I think, the biggest thing, if you're a star player, like you don't want to see something like that happen. Like to me, I feel bad for Max. At the end of the day, Max usually plays through pain and play and I'm not alluding to nothing, but I think it's weird that Max doesn't play because usually if Max can get out there and play, he will. I think it's weird with the whole Michael Mayer thing. Again, I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's just
weird too.
Yeah, it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? Just I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a timing. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. It's the way this was handled is just ridiculous, man. That's
yeah.
All
So I'm starring some comments because I'm gonna go back to them. So if you guys see your hashtag pop up, I'm gonna go back to it. So John Fallon, I appreciate you rolling up. Do you think we can get a first round from the Rams? They usually do things like that. Chris, I'll let you take this one.
We're not getting a first round for DeVante. We're not. If we do, I'll be very, very surprised. I don't think we're getting a first round pick. And plus, DeVante is not going to get traded unless it's to a team, because just the way his cap or his contract set up, he's not going to get traded to a team unless he wants to be there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all there is to it.
the only way I think we have the slightest chance at getting a 1 is if we see teams get into a bidding war. So, for example, if a
Yeah,
team comes out and is like, "Hey, I'll give you a second," but
yeah,
then the Jets come out of nowhere,
yeah. No,
and
like
the
I'll
Jets,
exactly.
you know what I'm
That's the
saying,
only
because
way.
of the Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. I
It's
mean,
the
I think
only
that's
way.
the only chance. I still don't see it happening, but I think that's the only chance of us getting a potential number 1 is if we see a bidding war in the Jets because of the Aaron Rodgers tie comes out of nowhere. So,
Yeah,
Nazo, I appreciate you pulling up. Everybody who wants AP fired doesn't understand the facts we are working towards. The fact we are working towards a franchise quarterback next year. Wake up, people. We ain't paying $35 million for Tay next year. True, and that this whole having to pay Devonta Adams. I mean, I think that plays a huge role
yeah.
in just this trade talks. Again, we're just not a fan of how it went down. Nazo, you had another one. This is Telesco. And AP agreed after lack of effort from Tay and his miscues. That is one thing to add, right? It happened last year. We've seen it rear its head again this year. Is the drops with Devonta Adams, and so it's hurt us
No, it
in a
has.
couple games already. So
Absolutely. Yeah, he's not started off the best by any means. So no, I agree there 1,000%. But still, I mean, people keep wanting this first round. People, he's not going to go to anywhere he doesn't want to go. I mean, do you
yeah,
guys remember before we ended up with Antonio Brown? He officially got traded to the Bills. Do you guys remember that?
yeah,
And he said he's not going to the Bills. So they basically retracted that offer. They retracted that because he said, I'm not going to sign to you, so don't waste your time and do it. And then a couple days later, he was traded to us. Like, Tay is not going to go anywhere he don't want to go. People are like, ship him off here. No, Tay is going to go to where he wants to go. Because if not, he's going to make it hard for any team to sign him. Then we're going to be forced to release him. Then he could pick and go wherever he wants.
absolutely, 100%, absolutely.
That's why I don't understand why people think we're just shipping him somewhere. He's going to go to where he wants to go. And just like the whole Derek Carr thing, he's not going to make his new team pay a whole king's ransom for him.
Yeah, he'll restructure
Exactly.
as long as he goes where he wants to.
Exactly.
Larry Fleming, you're saying Tom Telesco's steering the ship on this matter. I would agree. I think so. It makes sense. Just making sure if I just want to make sure I'm not missing any comments. Oh, wait, hold on. MG's Raider, he said we would lose all credibility if we tank. Anyone that says that is not a Raider fan, and I'll stand on that.
I'm with
I'm
you.
with you. Free thinker.
1,000%.
Tank for a franchise quarterback. Can't do it, man. Can't do it. Can't do it. Let's see. All right, cool. All right. So again, guys, I'm trying to go through this. If you can, please hit that like button wherever you're at. I'm 805 Raider, Real Talk Raider Nation. Got my guy Chris over the Protect the Show podcast. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe where you're at. Severe, he's gonna come through. I don't think he's gonna make it, but he will definitely link back up with us on the next one. Raider Resistance, you're saying Max has played through injuries since the moment he broke his hand versus Rams in the first preseason game.
Exactly.
He's battled injuries 100%.
Yeah. Someone was basically saying, him, him, like I'm reaching because Max playing on a bum ankle. Max literally, you you have to protect him from himself. Max is always going to want to play. He's a competitor. I think Max could have played, honestly. I really do. If he wanted to, I really do.
Yeah. Dave Walker, you're saying, how do we know after that Netflix series that certain players in the locker room lost trust from Adams? I'm not sure. I don't. And so when I say whether or not has AP lost some trust or credibility in the locker room, I don't know how these players were reacting to Devonta Adams. I mean, if some of the comments in the past were in previous comments, they were saying that Devonta Adams was seeking a trade, or his camp was seeking a trade weeks ago. If that's true, or if there's some validity to that, yeah, so maybe these players are like, you know what, it's about time. Maybe this could be just what this team needs a little bit, just to kind of rejuvenate a little bit. And so, all eyes on G. How long has it been before Max gets tired of this shit? Look, that's the problem. It's like when we got rid of Carr for Devonta Adams. To be dead honest with you. And then we go and get Jimmy G, and then Jimmy G was just absolute trash. And I think we all knew that Jimmy G was going to be trash. I'll be honest, I knew he was. He wasn't even good at San Francisco. Jimmy G had a defense, and he had a great supporting cast around him. But that certain players get to a certain point in their career when now they start looking at championships. Exactly. And I do think that's where DeVante has been at the last year.
Yeah, that's where he's at.
You know, and so people's motivations change as their careers go on. And so, all right, let me see. I'm going to keep seeing if I see any hashtags. If
salute to boy, just another DJ. Had a chance to meet him, man. Good guy.
Nice. People rolling through, man. Hey, over 400 in the building. I appreciate all you guys coming through. Again, hit that hashtag Raiders and then ask that question if you got something, want me to pull up something. Now, look. Here's the big question, right? Now the trade rumors are out there, all right? What would you rather want? And Chris, this is for you, and chat, this is for you. So again, I'm going to try to get to your guys' comments. Would you rather us trade for picks or players? What would be your preference at the end of the day?
Telesco seems to do pretty well in the draft, so picks sound good. But I'm so tainted on just the pass. I'd probably say give me a proven player, but that's younger though.
A proven player. If what position group would you target?
I don't know. At this point, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, actually. Because usually I'd want a player, but I guess losing DeVante, that's going to set us back a bit. So I may have to go with the picks, because then at least we can maybe go younger. But generally, the Raiders don't pick well, so I'd almost rather have a player. But I'm going to give Telesco the benefit of the doubt. I'll change my mind, and I'll say picks.
Okay. All right. I'll give you my answer in just a second. And James, heard you said if KC gives them a first, why not even? If it's a division trade and you can hit on that KC pick. I don't know if I want to give DeVante Adams to KC at all. I think that we can ship him off somewhere else. Maybe it's not for a first, but I can't give a division rival a guy like DeVante Adams when we still have to play them twice. That kills it. That wouldn't be my decision. And then you got James Loda. I appreciate you with the super chat. Any compensation for Tay starts at the second, not a first. And I agree. I think that's come out that they're going to want to try to get a second. Let's hope for a second. I think they did get an offer from an AFC team or an NFC team that's they're saying that they're starting at a third. But again, because DeVante Adams came out and said that he wants to be traded, it just dropped any value that we might get.
Exactly.
Just that much more.
Exactly.
But James Loda, I appreciate you for the super chat. And so here's my thing is I want picks. Because I think one player doesn't change the landscape for us at this point.
No, that's true. Yeah. That's why
we can go get a top offensive tackle, right?
Yeah.
Top offensive tackle. I don't think that changes the landscape for us. So we can go get another, defensive end because Malcolm Kuntz went out. I don't think it changes the landscape. I think the other position group that we really need is another linebacker next to Robert Spillane. I don't know if that changes the landscape, and so I'd love for us to be able to get maybe a second. If it ends up being a third, I think that's unfortunate. I think we didn't play our cards right if we end up getting a third, but I think if we can get a second, then that gives us some hope because next year we have 2 seconds, right? We have our original second. We can get another one. Does that help us jump back into the first next
round.
year?
Yeah.
And potentially get some more help on this team. And so I think I'd like to go get picks. Let me see. Again, Chad, I'm trying to keep up with all this.
Shout out to everybody in the comments, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. Hit the like button to both my channel and my boy Real Talk.
Absolutely. And Emily says trade for a new owner. I wish that was a possibility. Yeah, and me, you're saying, hey, Tank, we're not there. We're not there. We can't be like that just right now. Free thinker Telesco is trash in the draft. I don't
think so.
That's an argument to be had.
Yeah, I disagree.
you could argue that in his later picks were very suspect because his team lacked depth at times, his roster lacked depth, but he nailed on a lot of starting talent.
Oh yeah,
a lot of starting talent. And so,
I mean, for us, honestly, our first 3 picks are starters. Whenever your first 3 picks are starters, that's a solid draft.
well, and the thing is that you can say that it didn't translate to wins, but you could argue that he just wasn't great at picking head coaches.
Right.
Because that, what I'm saying? Because Staley over there, he was just horrible. He was trash, and he ruined the prime of that roster because that roster was dangerous at one point.
On paper, they were a Super Bowl contending team. On paper,
yeah, without question. And so, George Rayner, I appreciate you with the super chat. Mike Singletary said it best: can't coach him, can't play with him. I'm guessing get online help.
Yes,
I'm guessing what you're saying, and we just mentioned it, man. Yeah, Mike Singletary. It's sometimes you can't let your ego get the best of you when you're dealing with the best in the world at what they do. And so we're gonna keep going through them and see if anybody's. JPJ was a great pick. Yes, he was. Man, a lot of great things coming out of him. We were going to break down some film, but obviously this came about.
Yeah,
and
I loved his film. I loved his film.
And I didn't want to I don't want to turn this into a 5-hour live because I knew this was going to take up the bulk of the conversation with the news dropping earlier today. So maybe we might try to link up later in the week or something like that before the next game and try to definitely break down some film. And so let's see. Gonzo, you're saying how many picks do you think you're going to get? It remains to be seen. We're hoping for a second. We're saying that it could be a third. Who knows? Who knows if it's not even a second or third, and all of a sudden we're seeing maybe a combo 4th and 5th pick.
That's what I'm saying.
We just don't know.
How much? What was that one trade? What a few years ago was it D-Hop? Didn't they trade Hopkins for something? And I think he was coming off an injury.
I think so.
But still, I think he went for like a 4th. I mean, like I said, to me, I think it's a win if we get a second for him. Honestly,
I'm with you. And Chad, I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're ready because our guy's here. Severe's popped up.
What's going on?
Yeah,
bro. Man, the universe is conspiring against me, man. That's all I feel like.
Especially coming up to our lives, huh?
Man, the universe is conspiring against me, but I'm here.
What happened today?
I got into it. Man, some dude hit my car, bro.
Michael Mayer.
Wow, man. Nah, it was Brock Bowers. He was trying to catch a pass and then he dropped it. He was looking down at his feet when he was trying to change it. Nah, but yeah, I know Chris been on talking reckless, man. I've been on the phone with the insurance company, so I ain't been able to hear what he's talking about. I know you're talking reckless.
I actually haven't been reckless, man. I haven't.
Severe's gonna be all worked up for this one then when you have to deal with car insurance. But hey, everybody in the chat, we got over 400 in the chat. I appreciate you guys rolling through. Make sure you hit up our guy, The Severe Raider, over at his channel. I appreciate you coming through. Obviously, man, we're talking about the topic of the week, the topic of the month, whatever it may be, maybe the topic just of the day with our Raiders. I kind of want to fill you in. We covered a lot in the beginning, but I'll hit you with the latest question that I just asked Chris. If we move on, we're going to, but if we end up trading DEVANTE Adams, would you want to trade for picks or a player? What would be your preference?
It depends on the player. It really depends on the player. I heard Chris was talking about the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I believe that was for David Johnson of the that was for David Johnson. What was the player for when D-Hop when he got moved? It was David Johnson and maybe like a 4th or a 5th or something like that. But it was for a running back. It was for a running back.
Really?
Ironically, that was one of the running backs. When I said I didn't want to pay Josh Jacobs, David Johnson is one of the running backs I cited because he's a guy that led the league in touches one year, and then he just fell off a cliff.
He kept getting hurt though. He got hurt like every year after that.
Exactly.
Every year after that.
Exactly. Exactly my point.
But he was older. He was older than Josh, though.
But he still got the guy from the Cowboys was the same thing though. I forgot that he ended his
Murray.
career.
Talking about Murray.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray.
Same. Yeah.
DeMarco Murray, and then what was the guy? Larry Johnson was the same situation as well. He was young when it happened to him too. So that was the trend. So, but I don't want to talk about Josh. He's gone, and Devontae about to be gone too. So both of them can kick rocks in my opinion. I'm good on both of them. Man. You don't want to be here.
Zeus. So okay, so
you don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here.
Now you told me that Zeus will properly take over for Jacobs. Now who's going to take over for Tay?
Your boy Drop Bowers. Your boy
Drop Bowers. Hey, stop it.
He don't like Brock Bowers. Me him been debating all day.
No, it's not that I don't like Brock Bowers.
Chat in the chat. If you think Michael Mayer is better than Brock Bowers,
oh, here we go.
0.
No, here we go.
I think Michael Mayer is more skilled than Brock Bowers, but Brock Bowers is more talented than Michael Mayer. And I think that one of the reasons I didn't want to draft Brock is because, like I said, when he was at Georgia, they used him in a very unique way. And there was a lot of stuff done through their scheme that schemed him open. And that's how he was effective. And you said the same thing. I told you to look at it. You was like, yeah, man, it was a bunch of drag routes, a bunch of screens. No, and that's how they used them.
I didn't see no true like rap, but
exactly.
They couldn't. How about this? They couldn't guard him.
No, but they used them in a very specific way. And my issue was that if we have Devontae here, Devontae is going to want to run the offense a certain way. And we can't mold the offense around Brock Bowers if we're molding an offense basically around Devontae Adams. Now, Devontae Adams is gone. That exponentially should increase the effectiveness of Brock Bowers, because now we can start doing Brock Bowers centric stuff without worrying about, we have to get Devontae involved, or these are the areas of the field that Devontae work in. We can disregard that and say, look, Brock, you got this. Just catch the ball when we throw it to you, but you got this.
It's all good, man. It's all good. You got it, Samir. You got it, bro. Let's get back to Tay, man.
James, I appreciate you. Another super chat. I appreciate you coming through, man. You're saying rather get picks to move up in the draft to get our franchise quarterback, and that's I would prefer picks. Again, I agree. I'd love to see us to potentially, if we could get a second and move back into the first at some point, that would be awesome. I don't know if it gets us that franchise quarterback if one drops or what have you, but that would be my preference. Because, like I said this before you jumped on, Severe, I don't know if you heard, but I was telling Chris, I just don't know if there's a specific player out there right now that moves the needle that's going to just change the trajectory of our season.
He had to be young, like a young guy that we can really build around.
Exactly. And so
Garrett Wilson will be, like, if it's going to be a player, it got to be a guy like Garrett Wilson. I'm not trading him to San Francisco to let him. I'm not doing the Ayuk thing. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Trade him to the Jets, and then let him live in after, Aaron Rodgers walks off into the sunset after this year. Let him live out there. He went from one franchise in quarterback purgatory. Now he can go to the Jets and have his last ride with Aaron, and then be in quarterback purgatory for the rest of his career there as well. So
he got Jordan Travis there, baby. Jordan
Jordan
walking.
Jordan Travis. He's MG's Raiders says, guys, I would start a second and move up into the first and package picks to get a young quarterback. And I'd also ask for a young tackle, guard, linebacker, or even another defensive tackle. Yeah, I mean, we can ask for quite a few potential position players, but again, it's tough for me because I just don't know I don't know enough of what's currently out there that teams are willing to trade that are good enough that will change the trajectory for us. That's just me. D-Menace, I appreciate you coming through, everybody. If you can, hit that like button wherever you're sitting.
Oh, you know what? How about this?
Let's get it.
How about we trade him to New Orleans?
Okay. Going there.
Chris Olave and something else. I don't know. Has to be another. I don't know. Maybe Chris Olave and some picks. Maybe something else.
I don't think they do that.
Chris Olave and like a fifth.
like
Chris
I
Olave
would
on the
say
fifth or
it'd probably
fifth?
be like a
Yeah,
fourth
that'd
or
be something.
fifth.
I mean, that reunites him with Derek Carr. I think Louisiana is a no state tax state as well. So New York is going to cost him a bunch of money to live in New York. So you send him to Louisiana. I believe they have no state income tax also. Could be wrong on that. You check, correct me if I'm wrong. And then he gets to reunite with Derek Carr, and he gets to play the last year there with Derek Carr, and then he gets to play with the guy he should have been playing up here. Spencer Rattler, baby. Jordan Travis, Spencer Rattler.
Jordan Travis gonna be way better than
So-
Rattler.
Bruh, Jordan Travis he might never play in the league.
So let's do this because we got a lot of people. We're already. I saw it in the chat. A lot of you guys previously were saying who you want to trade with. So again, if you could throw that back in the chat because I won't be able to scroll all the way back and see it. So let's get into that. Right? Who do you think we potentially can trade with, and who do you think is going to be that potential trade partner? And LA Raider, my guy from my hometown, is a very. I've heard Penix's name get brought up. I don't think there's a chance in hell
I don't think so either.
that Falcons are going to go off of Penix. I just don't.
I'd listen. I'd listen now.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that.
No,
Penix is the future there.
He's there.
Future. And they know they're never gonna be in a. What's going on? They know they're never going to be in a position to grab a player that caliber at that position again. So, like, they did the smart thing.
Another shout out to Chris Smith in the building, man. Chris Smith in the building, the father of Christopher Smith on our team, man. I always got shout him out.
Chris Smith is in here. Where's he
at?
Sir.
I always got shout him out when I see him, man. Cool dude.
Hey, I appreciate you pulling up, man. Jack Cannon says D-Hop second. And the Cardinals starting all-pro running back.
Oh, yeah. They traded a second with the D-Hop?
Did they?
Did they trade a second with D-Hop?
I don't remember that.
Did they get a second or did they get a second back? I don't remember. I know it was David Johnson, but I don't remember if they got what.
Okay, then maybe I'm thinking of a different trade because someone got traded for it was like a fourth, and it was something crazy. Maybe it wasn't D-Hop, then it was someone else. If y'all talking about a second and something else, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I know for sure David Johnson was involved in that trade. I know for sure.
Real quick, Justin the DJ says, with Doug Peterson losing the locker room in Jacksonville, would y'all consider him as an OC option?
We should have fired Getsy already. We trained Devontae this week. We can fire Getsy next week. This week we trained Devontae.
Devontae, the reason why Getsy here.
Man, that's another thing. That's another thing.
Very true.
So, like, you can talk about being unhappy, but yo, bro, we part of the calculation, part of the reason we brought Getsy here was to appease Devontae, clearly. So, I don't know.
That's true. So let's and again, I'm trying to go. I think I'm behind on these comments, guys. I apologize. So let's do this again. Let's kind of go back. Because I'm seeing a lot of people saying picks for the most part, trade for picks.
Yeah.
Trade for picks, kind of building that draft capital. Because I do think a lot of people want to go get a potential quarterback in this year's draft. That's kind of the overall consensus for a lot of people.
Cam Ward.
And there's going to be quite a few potentially coming out of this draft. And so you might see some drop. Or fall. You never know. So let's do this. Out of the teams, who do you think could more than likely be a trade partner with us? And so, Chris Smith is in the chat, man. Let us know what you're thinking. So we got, I think, the top guys, in my opinion, obviously the Jets.
Obviously.
Right? The Jets are going to be eyeballing this like crazy. Okay, and if we can get the most draft capital as somebody, I think it's got to be the Jets. I don't know if you were in here when I mentioned it. I think our best case scenario is to see us get in a potential bidding war with some teams, and the Jets will be that kind of final bid.
Yeah,
and maybe throw us a second, maybe even a first. Again, that's a long shot, but Aaron Rodgers is going to want his guy, and they're struggling over there. You got guys like the 49ers. Everybody's throwing Ayuk out there. I just don't think that's going to happen. Ayuk has just a massive cap hit to him. I think he's like $40 million next year, same as Devontae. Or no, I think it's a massive dead cap hit to the Niners. So if they let him go, I mean they're pretty screwed. The Rams have a lot of receiver injuries over there. You got the Steelers that were looking for a receiver back in the day, and so in the offseason.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull up one thing, and I was showing this to Chris earlier. Is there's already odds coming out. There's odds coming out already on who's going to potentially be the trade targets. You got the Jets at plus 400. You got the Baltimore underneath them, Cowboys, and then you got the Steelers. Then they put together some trade scenarios. You got the trade for the Jets, and I'll hope I can.
It's a no.
So DEVANTE ADAMS and a number 4.
No.
That's the Jets receive, and then we get Hassan Reddick, a number 2, and a number 3 overall. That's a potential scenario. And then you got the Steelers. You got the Steelers get DEVANTE ADAMS, and we get George Pickens in a 3rd round pick.
I like that deal. I really like
this
that
one.
deal. I really like that deal. If the Jets call with that nonsense, bro, I'm hanging up in their face and talking about their mama. Like, you don't even call me no Hassan or Red. Bro, what? We got to pay dude $30 million to what? No, get that out of here. I'm taking George Pickens. George Pickens is a dog. He's not DEVANTE level dog, but he not. What that dude say now? We're running back. You ain't talking reckless, bro.
Which one?
The one right before that one. It's a good thing I ain't no scout.
Let's see. Hold on.
I know he said. Don't worry about it.
Right here. Good things to bring.
Oh yeah, nah, definitely, bro. I didn't. Who said anything? I ain't.
He's not talking about
just because Brock dropping the ball don't mean DEVANTE not too. Like the two ain't mutually exclusive. Like
he don't like neither one of them, y'all. He don't like neither one of them.
DEVANTE is my favorite player, bro. But DEVANTE been proven.
I couldn't tell.
Hey, I keep it real, bro. I ain't pulling no favors. I ain't pulling no punches on nobody. If I like you as a player, if you act in a certain way, bro, I'm gonna call you out on it. That's just how I am. DEVANTE since last year. DEVANTE been saying some questionable stuff. He been doing some questionable things. And then he talks all this stuff about, I'm don't nobody know my feelings but my wife. But bro, you was on national television on the biggest dang streaming app on the planet, talking about how unhappy you were for 17 damn weeks. You ain't no damn steel trap. You've been complaining for a whole damn year. So don't act when people assume you want to be traded. Don't act like it's it's unexpected. And
that
now
was
guess
last year,
what?
though.
Now,
that was last year.
But guess what happened this year? He asked for a damn trade. 2 weeks.
No, but what I'm saying is that that was a look into last year. I mean that was a part of that's what you sign up for.
But he was making it seem like nobody knows his feelings. Everybody knows your feelings because you put them out there, knowing you're being filmed, knowing everybody's going to see this. So don't act like you don't talk about how you feel, or you're some steel trap of emotion. You're some stoic figure. Like you got an ice box where your heart used to be. You ain't no Marianne, homie. Like like come on. Like everybody knows how you feel.
So look, and that's the thing is we don't know what's going on behind.
He's so cold.
And that's the hard thing is we don't know really what's going on behind the scenes. And that's one thing we talked about earlier is we don't know how this locker room is reacting to it.
Oh, man.
This locker room could say, hey, look, like we're cool with this. I don't know who would want a top tier receiver like DEVANTE ADAMS out the locker room, but if he's acting a certain way, we just don't know how that locker room is reacting. And so let's see. Let's go. Raider Knight, he says Telesco don't trade for picks. He trades for established players, but that's what he's done in the past. And again, I don't know about any midseason trades that he made. And so, let me know in the comments and hopefully I can get to it because I think I'm pretty far down in the comments. But at this point, I don't know what you trade for when it comes to established players that's going to move the needle enough instead of just getting him more draft picks. Because at the end of the day, the way a GM shows his worth is through the draft and through free agency. And so if he can get himself another top draft pick next year, I think that would definitely try to help his case. Transplant, I appreciate you coming through. Trade Adams to the Jets is what's going to happen, but I hear Niners for Ayuk in a pick. I just don't think that Ayuk trade is going to happen. I think that the Jets are going to do everything possible to definitely open the door for Devonta Adams to come in. So now here's one scenario. And again, guys, I'm trying to get through the comment section. If you have an answer to the question that I asked, put hashtag Raiders up there. I'm going to try my best to try to get it up there. And if you guys can, for all you guys that are new into the live, I'm 805 Raider with Real Talk Raider Nation. I got Chris, Protect the Shield Podcast, and The Severe Raider. Make sure you guys hit the like button wherever you're at.
Rebel, kill that nonsense, bro. Rebel, kill that. Rebel, go play PlayStation or something, bro. Come on, bro.
I must not even be down there yet.
What Rebel say?
He said, put Aiden O'Connell in and make him happy and make him want to say, come on, dog. Come on, bro. Aiden O'Connell is not it, bro. Aiden O'Connell is not it. We saw Aiden O'Connell on a whole draft. He took us on a team that's basically playing not to lose. He takes a sack and damn near throws 2 interceptions. One of them a pick 6. Aiden O'Connell's not that guy, bro. Like get this nonsense out of your head. He's not that dude. He's not it. People came to training camp and said he's not it. The Raiders brass saw him play for a year last year. Saw him this entire offseason and said, "No, what? He's not it." You're the only person holding on to this hope. He's not that guy.
He ain't the only one.
But let's do this.
We don't want to go down that path.
No, I don't want to derail it too much.
No, yeah. Hey,
but look,
facts. Neither one of them are it.
The only thing I'll say is we still don't know 100% where Aiden O'Connell is at. I don't think he needs to play. I don't think he needs to be in. I don't think Gardner Minshew's done anything to lose the job. But in my opinion, I just don't know. We just don't know what Aiden O'Connell has so far. Yes, we could take what we saw last year. It was a small sample size, a horrible situation. But look, I'm not saying he's going to be trash, but I'm also not going to say he's the man for the job right now. That's my take on it. MG's Raider says, how about a trade to the Lions with a second and Hendon Hooker? So actually, I'll go back to that real quick. Here's my thing. The only thing I would say is the other potential team that is on the brink of winning a championship, they know that they're going to the Super Bowl, I think could potentially reach out if they needed that final piece or another weapon, right? The Lions would be a very interesting situation. Now the Lions, I looked it up. They don't have all their draft picks next year.
Yeah. But
they could, yes, they have Amon St. Brown. They don't have a very good number 2 receiver over there. Someone else that can counter that. Ben Johnson's probably only going to be there one more year. That is it. Then he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else based on what he's doing, what he did last year, what he's doing this year. If the Lions want to just blow the roof off, they could potentially kind of dabble in this if we were to have to drop to potentially giving up like a third, or just getting a third. I don't think they're going to give up a second, but maybe a third. But Hendon Hooker, I'm on the fence with Hendon Hooker. I liked him out of college, but then I started seeing kind of more and more of his film, and he gives me who's that kid that just came out of Tennessee? Kid that went to the Patriots. Joe Milton. He kind of gives me the same vibes as Joe Milton, honestly.
He doesn't have a stronger arm as Joe Milton, but I think he's a better player than Joe Milton.
I think a little bit better, but coming out of that system is tough. James, Raiders depends on how bad the Raiders want Penix, Adams, Max first and second.
Oh, never. I'm cool on that, bro.
Wait.
You don't know, bro. I'm good on that.
I mean, at this point, I don't want him to hook.
Oh, did you say Max?
I know. See, that's what
Max Crosby
first and second would probably get him maybe.
Oh no, bro. I just look and then Telesco can go take a dive off of the facility because he will never work again. He couldn't. They wouldn't let him cook fries at McDonald's if he did some nonsense like that, bro. Like,
let's see. Towner says Adam butts heads with Getsy and AP, and AP made business decisions. Yeah, maybe. Again, we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but because we didn't get a true quarterback, there's a really good chance Adams was frustrated right out the box. East Oakland legend. You're saying Jets. Yeah, I agree. I think they're the top.
Man,
They should be the
Raider
top
Rebel,
bidder.
Raider Rebel going at Severe, man. He going heavy at you, man.
Bro, Raider Rebel, now he don't want this smoke, bro. I will kill this dude, bro. You want to on a conversation about Aiden O'Connell? He do not want this smoke. Bro. This is the dude you don't want, Rebel. I will cook you to
Here we go.
tomorrow because Aiden is not that guy, bro. It's on film. He's I don't want to say he's trash, but he's no better than Gardner Minshew. And
I'm gonna keep scrolling down. We're gonna get there.
Keep scrolling down.
Right. So Michael says Bills. Look, again, Bills are on the brink. They could potentially be one. That could take a shot. They could use some receiver help if that Keon Coleman kid just doesn't live up to I think he's a second round. I think first or second round draft pick. Angelo, you're saying I think Adams and the Niners. Again, I'm not sure. I just don't see us getting Ayuk.
Yeah,
you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't see us bringing over Ayuk. I understand the ties to AP.
Yeah, exactly. I think people are making those ties between AP and Ayuk, and that's why they keep going there. But like, if we traded DeVante to the 49ers or to the Chiefs, or like to like a hated rival like that, like people would never live that down. People would never live that down.
Yeah, I'm seeing some more people are liking the Bills again. Yeah, I mean, when you have a team that's on the brink that potentially can just kind of get them over that edge, they might. You know, they offloaded stuff on Diggs, which I think opened up some salary cap for them. So Free Thinker says Devonta Adams just spotted buying luggage set at Ross. Okay. One team I want to throw out here, because again, a lot of people are saying Bills. One team I want to throw out here. What are your thoughts on the actual Baltimore Ravens taking a shot? They got the running game.
Makes no sense.
No sense? I mean, you bring in...
If I'm for one, if I'm the Ravens, I don't think I would want to do that if I'm the Ravens, because Lamar, he's not going to sit back and just dime you up. He ain't going to dot nobody up. So they have enough weapons over there. Honestly, I don't think Devontae would fit that system. He's got to block a lot. No,
I agree. He may not fit the system, but my thing is, if you need, because they don't have a second receiver over there. Mark Andrews is not the guy anymore. You got Isaiah Likely, which is basically a pass catching tight end. Exactly. Then you got Zay Flowers. You have no number 2 over there. Rashad Bateman is not number 2 over there. If you need that one extra piece on that offense to kind of get you over that hump, could they take a shot at him? Again, not saying that he completely fits the system, but is that something they might want to do?
I know if I was the Ravens, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that if I was the Ravens.
If I'm the Raiders, there's nobody over there I would take in a trade unless it's Zay Flowers. Unless they about to give me like a first and a second, like or a first and a fourth and like a fourth or something like that. But other than that, no, I'm not doing it. It'd have to be like a nice package of picks.
Kyle Hamilton.
But I mean, right? I want to see Palomar develop though. I think they play more similar role. I think he plays more of a similar role to Palomar than he does to Trevon Merritt.
So we got the strength of our team was the defense, but for you guys to act like we don't need an elite player is ridiculous. We need a quarterback. Telesco chose not to get one. So you're saying for us to act like we don't need an elite player.
So I think he's saying since we're saying get a draft pick instead of a player. I think that's what he's referring to, I think.
So again, then my question would be is what elite player is out there that you would want to go after at this point that you think someone would trade for Devonta Adams? That would be the biggest question.
And I think part of the calculation in getting these picks would be to use in a package to move up to get a quarterback. I think that's part of that calculation is when you acquire these picks, you use these picks as ammunition to move up to get a quarterback. So if you feel okay with where you're at in terms of receiving core, if you like the development of Trey Tucker, I think Jacoby Myers is one of the more underrated receivers in the league. We're getting DJ Turner some more looks. I think we're gonna have to use Brock Bowers more, with more versatility, put him in running situations more tight end screens, more drag routes, more of the stuff that he ran at Georgia. And we have the opportunity to do that now. If you feel good and comfortable with your weapons, then why not package all that stuff and move up for a quarterback? I think we like what we saw from DJ Glaze at right tackle. We for damn sure like what we saw from Jackson Powers Johnson at guard. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of holes on this team. Ja'Cory Bennett has stepped up. And in some instances, you know, and not even for a lot of the seasons, he's been playing like a number 1 corner, not even like a number 2 corner.
Oh, he's our best corner. He's our best corner.
No, yeah. This year he's been our best corner. We like what we see out of Zale Palomar. Tommy Ackenberg can go kick rocks. But you know, but you can get linebacker
all season.
You can get a linebacker late. So I mean, like, there's really not a whole lot of holes to fill. Edge rusher, you know, if we don't get Coons back at 100% and Tyree doesn't continue some of the progress that he made this previous game, so there's not a whole lot of holes. It's mainly depth issues and quarterback. Like, those are our weakest links right now. So if we can resolve that quarterback issue, we can work on depth in the back half of the draft or even in free agency.
And so I said this point earlier, it's tough because even if we get somebody like a linebacker next to Robert Spillane, maybe we get another offensive tackle to kind of help so that DJ Glaze, and that's if their Mumford isn't a go as time goes on. You know, do we get possibly another running back? I don't think there's anybody that moves the needle enough or that's going to change the trajectory of our season than getting another early draft pick, potentially move up and get that potentially elite player in a rookie contract that can help us for years to come. And so that's why for me, it's more about potentially stockpiling some picks. And so we did have one, Larry Fleming saying Tay to the Rams. Obviously, they need receiver help. What are you guys' thoughts on DEVANTE ADAMS to the Rams potentially? Do you think that'll even happen?
Maybe. I mean, I could see him wanting to go there, possibly. I mean, Stafford.
DEVANTE for Matt Stafford. DEVANTE for Matt Stafford. That's the only way I'm doing that. DEVANTE for Matt Stafford. Yeah, but others, they got Cooper Kupp who's hurt. They got Puka Nacua who's hurt. So, I mean, what can they really offer us? I mean, I don't know if Les Snead has any picks left. I mean, he's been saying F them picks for like 4 years. So I like what I don't know what their first round is looking like next year or in the future years. So I don't know what they can offer. But I wouldn't mind that he's out of the conference too at that point.
Yeah, and then Chris, I'll throw this one at you. Lex saying Breece Hall in a second round for Tay makes me happy. I wouldn't be mad at it. Do you think that's even a chance?
No, I'm not trading. I'm not trading a running.
Yeah, I was about to say all you guys been telling me all off season is running back grows on trees. Yeah. Breece is what on year 3, so therefore next year he's going to be wanting a big contract, which you guys aren't going to want to pay him, and then he's going to be considered old in running back years. It's going to waste of time. Let's not mess with a running back at all.
And then, so kind of as we go through all this, what are your chances, or what are your thoughts on possibly the Steelers being a trade partner? They were looking for a receiver in the offseason.
I could see that. I could see
that.
He would go there too.
And Severe, you said you liked that trade projection where we give him DEVANTE ADAMS, we get George Pickens and a 3rd round. I mean, that's still getting a fairly that's getting a day 2 pick, right? Next year's draft, and you get a young receiver that has a lot of potential.
I would like that trade, but the problem with that trade is, and I just remembered it, is that the Steelers had an agreement in place with Ayuk, and they just had to work out compensation with the 49ers. And that deal ended up falling apart because the 49ers wanted a receiver back, and the Steelers were unwilling to part with George Pickens. They wanted,
that's what I said. They're not going to
Ayuk and George Pickens together.
To match them up.
So they weren't willing to give up George Pickens. So if they weren't willing to give up George Pickens for a young player in Ayuk, they're not going to give up that George Pickens for a 32-year-old DEVANTE ADAMS. Think about this. And people are like, DEVANTE, his game is going to translate well, and it will, right? His game will age well because he's not a super athletic, like he's more quickness, more technique, more releases, more route running type stuff. But DEVANTE is 32 years old. Calvin Johnson retired from the NFL at 30. So it's not like Devontae is not like a spring chicken. He still has like 2-3 good years left in him.
It's not a good example though. That's not a good example. He walked away from the game though.
Yeah, I said he walked, but
yeah,
and he got
many more years left.
Yeah, many more. But my point is that look how you think about how long you think about like Kelvin Johnson as a player,
how long he dominated.
Like,
I got you.
How long he dominated for, right? And so like, and you think like, dang, he was only 30 when he retired. Like that, you think like, wow, like you would never think he was just 30 years old, and Devontae's already 32, and so he only has 2-3. Like, there's not a lot of Jerry Rices out there, right? There's not a lot of Tim Browns out there that's going to keep playing that good, and not a lot of Larry Fitzgeralds out there, right? Devontae will be some facsimile of that because, like I said, his game is going to age well. But if you want a premier player at that position, like Devontae has maybe 2-3 more years left at that. And then if these injuries are true, like he gets nicked up. He had the ankle was the ankle in the preseason game where he couldn't play the preseason. Now he has a hamstring.
He ain't hurt. Like, he's not hurt.
I don't think he's hurt either.
He's not hurt. He's listening to what his agent's telling him. Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing is, and that's tough, right? Because you said Kelvin Johnson.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Severe, that's what you were talking about before. Like with Kelvin Johnson, and the thing about him is he had such a unique, because of his size, skill set, and he had so much speed on him. Like, it was crazy how fast that guy was and how big he was. Is he could, I mean, you could literally just send him down the field and he'll go up and he'll get over the top on you. Devonte Adams doesn't necessarily have that, and at a certain point, that athleticism is going to start to fall off fairly quickly. Age don't stop on you, and so it's going to be tough. Like, it's going to creep up on him. One comment from Eduardo: you said trade for Fuaga. I don't know if I would do it, but man, I'd love Fuaga to come out the draft, and he's doing well over there, so I wouldn't be mad at it. And so I'm going through this. Scott Hayes says Commanders potentially going after really revamping that Commanders offense. I mean, could you see Devonte Adams going over there? The only thing that I would be really hesitant whether or not the Commanders would even try to match that up is, one, would Devonte want to go over with a rookie quarterback and kind of start this thing all over? And even though I think he's a big fan of Jaden Daniels, Severe, do you think you could see something like that happen? The Commanders actually looking and trying to pull that off, because they have, I think, the most salary cap space so far in the league.
I mean, I can see something like that happening, but what are we getting back? So I doubt if they're getting up Scary Terry. So I mean, what are we getting back in that trade? Is my whole thing. It's like it had to be a whole lot of draft capital, and then if we trade Devonte over there, the way Jaden Daniels has been playing, who I did say was the #1 quarterback in this draft class. For everybody that's trying to talk trash about my quarterback evaluations, I did say he was the #1 quarterback in this draft class months ago before anybody else was saying it. But mind you, I don't think he would mind. I don't think he'd mind playing with it, because he is a guy that he identified, pre-draft, saying he's a guy that he likes. So, he's been playing well. So not like he's out there Caleb Williams in it or Bryce Young in it. Like he's been throwing the ball downfield. He's been throwing with efficiency, with accuracy, and he's with a creative offensive coordinator and with Cliff Kingsbury. So. I think that that would make a lot of sense for both parties, but it just has to make sense for us as well.
Yeah, I think the Commanders do have the most salary cap in the entire league, and they're in the NFC. So, they got some money to throw around if they're feeling a little ballsy. And so, again, I'm trying to go through this chat. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Remember, wherever you're watching, hit that like button. I'm 805 Raider at Real Talk Raider Nation. Got my guy Chris at the Protect the Shield podcast and the Severe Raider. Make sure you guys go around, hit those like buttons. Make sure you subscribe. You got Miguel, you're coming in. How you guys feel about Adams, the Rams? I've been hearing about that team. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with all the comments, and so I know we touched on that one. But here's one question: is could you see, because again, you got Devonte Adams. Okay, you got Devonte Adams, which is going to be a hot commodity. There's going to be plenty of teams that are going to be reaching out to us, and we're going to have conversations with at least, I would say, easily 4 or 5 teams just trying to see what they can do. Is there somebody else? Is there another player on this team that we could possibly package up and get even more draft capital out of? Make this as sweeten the pot as much as possible and probably get that first. Do you think there's another player we can throw in this pot that would make sense?
Michael Mayer.
I knew you was going there. That's why I said
there it is. That's why I asked it.
I mean, but who would want both? I mean, maybe to the Ravens if you do that, and maybe they want a guy to complement, because Michael Mayer's skill complements Isaiah Likely well, but you know, like they'd have to give up multiple picks because we know their first rounder is going to be very low in the first round, so they'd have to give up, like, at that point I'm asking for a first, a second, and maybe like a future fourth or something like that. Like because it's going to be like you're going to be picking like 29th, 30th probably.
And I didn't even see Mark's question or comment, but you know, he got there before I could even ask it. But that's the interesting part. It's like, how much does this league value Michael Mayer, and who could actually who would want to pull the trigger?
Only the guy with the red hat on values Michael Mayer. That's it. He's the only one.
Mayer was a second round pick, and many people thought he'd be a first round pick. So
besides the NFL scouts that all passed on him, and he was a third.
And so, and we got another one. Do you think Devontae?
No, I'm saying he was a third tight end taken.
Oh yeah, he was a third tight end taken.
Yeah, people. Everyone's like, oh, he was the best tight end. Everyone, no, the scouts ain't think that.
Yeah, because I think Musgrave went before him.
No,
and then Laporta went, right?
Only Dalton Kincaid.
Kincaid. That's right.
Laporta.
Do you think Devontae Adams still shows up for practice or for the games if he's not traded right away? He'll
be nursing a hamstring injury.
Yeah, you don't want him. Yeah, you don't want him in the locker room at this point.
Don't want him in the locker room. Don't want him on the practice field. Do not want him in a game because one, you don't want to risk injury, even if he does have a hamstring, right? And who knows if that all is true, but you don't want him to injure himself, re-injure himself. And also you want these next guys to get work. You want these younger guys to get work. You want Trey Tucker to be in that number 2 spot. You know, you want DJ Turner to get on that field. And so I don't want to see him on the field at all at this point. And so look, right now, if Devontae Adams is on that trading block, what do you guys think? What do you guys think Tom Telesco's like true motivation is at this point? I mean, you're offloading your number 1 offensive player, right? Our defense is pretty banged up. We're going into a divisional game. Obviously, we couldn't enjoy a good win, a good motivational win against the Browns, and we get this drama. What do you guys think Tom Telesco's thought is right now? I mean, do you think he's going to try to improve this team today? Do you think he's going to try to go out and get somebody that's going to improve this team? Because we're still early. It's not like it's week, 8. We're just reading the trade deadline. What do you think his true motivation is right now? Do you think we talked about, do we want picks or players? Do you think he wants picks or do you think he wants players? Xavier, I'll throw it to you first.
And knowing him, I mean, the kind of GM he is, I think he's the kind of guy that likes picks. Yep. So I'm assuming he will want picks. He's going to want his own guys. So I would assume, he will want picks. Unless he's identified a specific player that he wants, I think he's going to look at picks.
So, Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think all GMs kind of take pride in that draft. I mean, unless we're close enough and we're like 1 or 2 players away, where we're not that. Like I know Severe said we don't have that many holes, but I think that losing Tay is going to be a big hit for the offense. I mean, because I don't want people to think this game last week, against the beat up Browns team was super impressive. We did win the game, but I still think it'll be a big hit on the field and off the field. So like I said, more I think about it, I think I want the picks personally, and I think Telesco too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And Joe McLaughlin, I appreciate you for the super chat. I appreciate you rolling up. I think that's the first time I've seen your name in at least our lives. So I appreciate you coming through. He said last 2 years of Tay's contracts are voided at 35 mil with no guarantees. He's a rental, won't get a franchise piece in return. I agree. I think what has really limited us is our cards are on the table now.
Yeah.
Our cards are out.
That's my problem.
I mean,
like keep that in house.
yeah, and the very next comment, which is from Raider Zach, he's basically saying that Telesco basically kind of put out there that they're looking for potentially a second round compensation. I think there was a comment on social media that's kind of what he's throwing out there. But now we're hearing that there's an NFC team that's only willing to give up a third. And but so Joe McLaughlin, I appreciate the comment, appreciate the super chat. Yeah, and Raider Zach, that's what he's saying. And so here's my thing is because he has a pretty big cap hit, and Chris, you mentioned this earlier, there's a chance that whoever gets him, he might restructure his contract and it won't be as big of a hit. Teams get real creative with salary caps.
Yeah.
Right. You look at the Saints. The Saints go in to the season almost damn near every year. And just
40 over.
Yeah, just salary cap hell, and somehow they are playing the season. So they get creative, and so I wouldn't be too concerned about the salary cap itself. But yeah, that's where it's tough. I agree. I think with DEVANTE Adams, yeah, he was on a rental, but at the same time, I don't know if we get much in return for him when it comes to actual player. I think it's going to be mainly all salary or picks at this point. And so,
and who's his agent? Is it what's the name? Rosenhaus?
Is that his agent?
I don't know if Drew Rosenhaus is agent.
Andrew,
I don't know. But see the thing is that all leverage was already killed when DEVANTE requested a trade, and that got out. So that already killed leverage. So, and I don't think necessarily the Raiders are putting out what they want. I think DEVANTE's representation is putting out what the Raiders want in an attempt to get him to the lowest bid as possible. He wants to, whatever team can get him for as least as possible, they want to go to that situation because he doesn't want his future team to give up assets either. So I think it's more so his representation saying that, and then other teams may be putting out that putting out as well to kind of drive down the value. So I don't think that's necessarily a Telesco thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I think no matter what, he's going to go to the team. He probably has a list of 3 to 5 teams he wants to go to, and he's going to go there. Like the Raiders aren't just going to be able to ship him off somewhere, or they're not just going to be able to pick the highest bidder. I know a lot of people think that, but I mean, unless the highest bidder is amongst the teams that he wants, he's not. Because honestly, at the end of the day, if DEVANTE truly wanted to, he could be a pest and hang around all year. I mean, honestly, he can do what a lot of y'all thought Waller did. To be honest, and he can fake a little hammy injury. He can drag it out to the point where the Raiders got to make a decision. Are we going to go into next season, or are we going to release him? Because again, they could try to trade him if he's like, you trade for me if you want to, but I'm not going to play. Like I'm not going to, do another contract. I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. That's going to scare a lot of teams away. So he's only going to go to where he wants to go. We have to understand that.
See, but where the Raiders have some leverage back is that DEVANTE cares about his own legacy. So DEVANTE is not going to sit out a whole bunch of games and then hurt his record book or any kind of streaks he had. He's not going to do that. So you can play hardball if you want to, and then DEVANTE will not get what he wants, and we won't get what we want. But you can do that. You can play that game if you want to, but at the end of the day, he's going to hurt himself.
But okay, but you got to think it's almost like but how's he really hurting himself? Because in his mind, if I'm not going to the right team, that's going to hurt my legacy anyway, or my yearly stats or whatever he's thinking about. Why not just bite the bullet this year, make the Raiders release you, and then you can go to whatever team you want to?
Because he produced with Aiden O'Connell last year, so he's thinking if I can produce with this dude, I can produce with anybody. Give me any quarterback in the league, and I can produce. I might not.
But he wants to go to. I think he probably wants to go to a competent organization.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because the Packers are usually very competent. We are very not competent. He's going to want to go somewhere else that is a solid organization at the end of the day. So I think there's certain things he's going to look for. He's going to look for a quarterback, and he's going to want to be with a competent organization that's not switching coaches every year, not firing people after 1 or 2 games, stuff like that.
So,
hey, John B, your mom's trash. My bad.
This was a name I was going to throw out there, and I'd be curious what everybody thinks. Throw Tyree Wilson in a possible trade discussion. He just came off his best game as a Raider. Mind you, we're against probably the worst offensive line in the league at that point, completely banged up. And so, I'm not giving him much credit at all. But that would be very interesting if you actually throw a Tyree Wilson in there, and instead of it end up being a third, maybe you can kind of negotiate that to a second, because that's where it's tough. I think depending on where he goes because Devontae Adams now is saying that he wants out. Yeah, we may not even get a second. I think it might be leaning more towards a third.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be it's not going to be what everybody thinks.
Yeah, and
this is the problem I have with this is that I was saying last year, look, unless we get a quarterback, trade Devontae. I was saying before the draft, like, look, if we can, this is the perfect time. The Jets have a top 10 pick.
Yeah, they would have traded it.
Do it. Yeah. Do it now. It's like this reminds me of like when Green Bay, when they really wanted like Randy Moss, and we had Randy Moss because Brett Favre wanted Randy Moss, and we could have traded Randy Moss for Aaron Rodgers, and we didn't do it. It's like, bro, just make the move. If he's not going to be happy here, you're not winning with them, make the move, get what you can. Wash your hands of the situation. But like we're not forward. We're not forward thinking enough. Or Tom Telesco, at least he wasn't forward thinking enough.
I think it's tough because I think with Michael Merrick, he's still a young player. You still want to develop him potentially. One guy that I wouldn't be surprised if the name came out was Harrison Bryant. I mean, Harrison Bryant, former Mackey Award winner. He came over here thinking
trade though.
The what?
So you're talking about including him in the trade?
Include him in the trade because we have Shanker.
I don't think he has that much value, to be honest.
No. Well, so it depends on what people thought of him prior to us bringing him on, right? Because he was sitting behind Njoku, and he was the best tight end coming out of his draft. And then he comes over here thinking he's going to be the number 2, fight for the number 1 position. And then we draft Brock Bowers, which was it was a shock that we drafted Brock Bowers, and it probably blindsided him.
Yeah.
And so he might want to. And so I'm not saying that it moves the needle a lot. But again, if you can find the right suitor, that's like, hey, we need another tight end threat. And then you add Devontae Adams into it. Again, he's a Mackey Award winner and one of the best tight ends to come out of college football. I think it was 4 years ago. And so 3-4 years ago. So again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's just another name to kind of throw out there. And so one, I forget who it was. I apologize. Oh yeah, up there. Sorry. L Apocalypse. You're saying Eagles. What are your thoughts on the Eagles? AJ Brown's been hurt for a few weeks now. I think he's dealing with a hamstring, so he's been out. Do you guys think the Eagles might have a shot at being a trade partner?
The Eagles got some young pieces, though. They do got some young pieces. I just don't know.
If we get Devontae Smith back.
Are you saying we get Devontae Smith? Like a trade?
We get Devontae Smith, yeah.
I still want picks.
I want Devontae Smith and some picks. I like Devontae Smith. I think he's been productive, and I think he's the DJ Morris type that Luke Getsy can use and make effective. I think he can use him and make him effective. And he's a guy that he's not as big as Devontae, but he's also a guy that's like, hey, every route in the route tree is he has under his belt. so he can do a lot of different things. And I don't think he's going to demand the same amount of targets as DeVante. So that still allows you to do whatever you want to do. If you want to build around him, or if you would want to build around Brock, you have an option of either one of those young weapons to build around.
I like this comment. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not saying that it's right, but there's a bunch of contracts getting thrown around. But what about DeVante and let's say like a 5th rounder and Higgins over there?
Higgins the dog.
For Higgins?
For T. Higgins?
Yeah. So they get Devonta Adams, and we get like a 5th round and T. Higgins.
Yeah, I don't know.
T. Higgins is the bad man.
He's cool.
I don't know if he's a true number 1, but you add him to this roster with T. Higgins, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker. I mean, I in my opinion, I think that'd be pretty nasty. In my opinion,
that would. I mean, only problem is that not necessarily
he's not going to go to. I can't see him wanting to go to Cincinnati.
But it don't matter where. I guess it matters to some extent where he wants to go. But that's a team that has a quarterback where he can win. He has a young offensive mind as a head coach. They have one of the most respected defensive coordinators in the league. And, T. Higgins is a guy that wants to get paid, soon. So, like this now, really, he wants to get paid now. So, I doubt if Cincinnati's going to want to pay him. So, I mean, that I think that will make sense for both parties, especially if Cincinnati's isn't kind of a win now type of mode, and they have a feeling they're going to lose T. Higgins anyway. I can see that happening.
And so, look, guys, I'm still going through the chat. I'm trying to bring up anything again. If you got hashtag Raiders, want me to throw up a question, if you guys have a question for us. But look, at the end of the day, it sucks. It sucks that we come off such a damn good win, a motivational win. AP needed to show his leadership. A lot of undrafted free agents stepped up. Charles Snowden. You got Caleb Von Chasen, former first-round draft pick, looking like he's contributing, right? You got 2 rookies on the offensive line, and we pull out a win. Devonta Adams sitting, Max Crosby, in true Raider fashion. This is what we get. This is what we get in return is absolute drama. And so what's your guys' thoughts? I mean, I know it's early, but where do we go from here? Where do we go from this point, knowing that Devonta Adams is probably not going to step a foot on this field ever again in the silver and black? At this point, you just can't see it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he's gone. So I mean, at this point, we got to just try to get what we can for him to a team that he wants to go to, and we got to manage our expectations because we're not going to get what a lot of us want.
Yeah, I'm with you, Severe. Where do you think we're going at this point? Like, what's Tom Telesco's? Is he looking big picture, or is he looking we still got to win now? And like, I mean, where are we? What direction are we headed with this season, knowing that really our number one offensive threat is going to be walking?
At this point, I really don't know, man. I really don't know what the plan is. Like I said, if we went into this year kind of knowing we got 2 mediocre quarterbacks, we probably going to rely heavily on defense. We probably aren't going to be competing for a Super Bowl this year or next year. Like, we should have moved on. That if we knew that was the situation we're going to be in, now we're out here in the wilderness because we thought, I guess we thought we were going to be better than we are. And things have, or maybe we thought we were going to get a guy in the draft that we weren't, aggressive enough in getting up. But we tried to play it both ways. We tried to not be aggressive moving up in the draft, but still hang on to these other pieces. Like, you gotta do one or the other. You gotta be all in, or you gotta be all out. You gotta bottom out, or you gotta push all your chips to the middle of the table. And we tried to play around the edges, and that was coming to bite us in the butt because we move on from Devontae. Then what do we do? Right? We at that point we might have no choice but to kind of bottom out. And I don't know what that would look like.
So, for Doug, you're saying people are going to be shocked when the trade goes down of what you get back for him. Just remember, I told you so. What do you think we're going to get back?
Shocked in a good way.
Yeah.
So he said a 3rd or a 4th. So I think he's talking to people that think he's going to get a 1st or 2nd. So I get what he's saying. I agree with him.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting a first.
Yeah.
I'm at this point, I'm not even sure if we get a second. At
No,
this
for
point,
sure.
you know what I'm
For sure.
saying? And so, but we got James Hurd says, if Sam Darnold plays good this year, do you think the Raiders would sign him? Or are you thinking if the Raiders will sign Sam Darnold or Devonta Adams? Don't know what
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
I mean, yeah, don't know what you mean. Fardog gonna get a third or fourth. Okay, gotcha. Let's see. Why do fans think Washington would have traded out for drafting Jaden? Why do fans think Washington would have traded out of drafting? Oh,
No,
I don't
not
know.
necessarily. But we had opportunity to move up and get Michael Penix if that was the case, and we elected not to. So
Yeah. So, guys, this is kind of where we're at. This is where we're at right now. We're going into a divisional game, going into what we need. We have to win this. We have to win this game. You know, we've beaten the Broncos 8 times in a row so far. We got to make it 9, right? I think it's 8 times in a row. And with this drama, it just doesn't help at the end of the day. And so, do you guys I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys have been awesome. The support you guys have been showing, just not in just this live, but in previous ones, I can't even say thank you enough. So, guys, before we kind of get out of here, what are you guys' final thoughts on this situation? What are your final thoughts? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think this locker room? How do you think they're reacting to it? Let me know. Chris, I'll throw it over to you first. What are your final thoughts on this whole situation?
Yeah, I just don't like how it was handled. Again, we shouldn't be knowing about all this. I think if there was some issues, they should have kept it in house. I don't like something as small as a little like from the head coach. I don't like that as being the leader of the team. Just seems petty, seems childish to me. So I'm bothered by that. But if we have to lose Adams, I mean, we're going to lose him at this point. So there's really no turning back. You know, we're just gonna have to figure it out. You know, I think AP is going to have to show his leadership. He's going to be able to keep this team together. But I think there's a lot of people that respect Tay in there. We got to keep our eye out on Max. See how Max responds. See how Micah Mayer responds. Again, Max, I know he was a little banged up, but usually Max wheels through it. So it'll be interesting to see, man.
I think Max already announced that he playing against the Broncos.
Is he good?
Yeah, I think he already announced it. I think that was kind of a slide. I don't want to say a shot at Devante, but it's one of those situations where, like, yeah, I'm here. Like, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm not going nowhere. I think it was one of those things where, no, don't get it confused. Don't get
you had to set that at ease real quick.
Don't get it confused. I'm not out here, you know, playing these injury games, acting like I'm hurt or nothing like that. Like, he wants to be here. So, like I said from the beginning, right? Like, I want people that want to be here. If you don't want to be here, you can kick rocks. Josh Jacobs didn't want to be here. He can kick rocks. Devontae don't want to be here. He can kick rocks. Anybody that doesn't want to be here, you let it be known you don't want to be here. You can kick rocks, bro. I'm not about to. Oh well, you know, I'm not about to hem and haw and well, you know, if we would have just did bro. If you don't want to be here, bye.
Okay. What about Max though? Because he didn't know if
Max doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, he didn't know. As long as we hired AP. Okay, I just want to good. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And good. I just want to make sure we're keeping it gangster the whole way across the line.
I've supported 2-14 teams. You think I ain't scared to go back to that? This
you ain't gonna have no choice.
These colors don't. These colors,
you're gonna have no choice, man.
Exactly.
So I mean, Art Shell 2.0, man.
Hey, I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm a remain a Raider fan. It's gonna be some tough times. Ain't gonna be nothing I haven't lived through before. You know,
you got this, Severe. You got this.
It's gonna be some tough times, but ain't nothing I lived through before. So if you don't want to be here, hey, you can leave. You know, that's a choice. You have a choice. You either want to be here or you don't. I'm not going to tolerate people that don't want to be here, and the organization shouldn't either. If you don't want to be here, then leave, bro. You're a professional and you're a grown man, so you let it be known that you want out, bro. I'm gonna open the door for you. I'll help you pack. You can kick rock, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna support this team above any player. I've seen this team get rid of players that I loved. But at the end of the day, I love this team more than I love any of those players. And that's just how it's going to remain.
I think we all 100% can agree to that. At least the ones that want to see this team successful. Four Dog says the Raiders brass thought Michael Penix would be there. They were blindsided by the Falcons taking him. I agree. I think a lot of us were blindsided by the Falcons taking him. And then there was that story again. Sean Payton could just be blowing smoke up people's ass, but that you guys hear that story about him saying he tried to play the Raiders, thinking that trying to play it like he was going to
offer
move back. And then the Raiders might have thought like a Bo Nix was sitting there and they had a chance to take him. You know, who knows? But yeah, you might be right. And Elon Bush, yeah, you might need a drink around all this mess. You know, and I'll tell you right now, I'm glad I got my drink in before that game with Chris. We were chilling, and Chris knows likes to party. That's for damn sure. That's what
we had fun. It was a good time, man. We won the game. It was,
saw some good college football the day before. Gotta love it, 100%. Raider Primos, yes, high ankle sprains are no joke. They are. High ankle sprains. Sometimes ankle sprains.
It's a 4 or 6 week injury.
Yeah, sometimes high ankle sprains can take longer than an actual break to heal. And that's what sucks. I mean, they're nasty. It's hard to come back from. Look, I agree with both you, Severe. I'm right with you, right? No one's above the shield. I don't care. If you want out, then be out. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste our time because we're here trying to improve and try to get better. Now, here's my thing is I do wish it was just handled differently in the beginning. I don't know how that is going to affect, if at all, the locker room with some players. Sometimes you have players that want to enter this building and they all of a sudden will understand just kind of how things were dealt. You know, at the end of the day, these are grown-ass men. These are professionals. There's ways that things need to be dealt with. And by going on and liking a social media post that it's going to be Devante's last game in silver and black, you just don't do it.
You don't do it.
You don't do it. You know, and because as much as you can say whether or not a player deserves it or what have you, other players keep receipts around the league. Other players understand how you act towards certain situations. And you got to have that trust at the end of the day that a player can approach you, a player can talk to you, a player can trust being in that building. And the moment you lose that trust, it's like anything. It doesn't have to be sports. Just like anything, the moment you lose trust,
it's over.
It's one of the hardest things to gain back. And so I just think I wish it was handled differently, especially with that whole Kay Adams interview where she mentions it, and all of a sudden you can see in his face. And again,
he was uncomfortable.
I could have read it completely wrong, but his face looked like, I don't know much about that. And she goes, "Have you talked to Antonio Pierce?" "No, I haven't." But then he ended it with, "I hope I do talk to him."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so again, I just hope it was handled differently. Yes. If you want out, then be out. Go do your thing. I wish you all the best as long as you ain't playing against us, and go do your thing. You know, so, but that's it, man. At this point right now, we got to move on. The thing is I do hope that something happens quickly. I hope it happens quickly. I hope that at the end of the day, this doesn't linger, because the last thing you want is some sort of cloud hanging over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So get it done. You already put it out there.
Yeah, cut your losses. Yeah, cut your losses and get what you can for them.
Yeah, Telesco, you put it out there. Devante Adams has now put it out there. So you know what? Don't let this thing linger. Cut that cord quick. Move on. So you can basically, it's early in the season enough to kind of make a difference whether you think we're going to lose or not, or you're going to win. Doesn't matter. You got to start to move on. And so the AP or the Devante Adams era with the Raiders, with the silver and black, it's officially over. You got to make sure that you move on and be out. And so that's where we stand. I apologize for anybody that was looking forward to the last couple of weeks. We've broken down film, and I think that it's cool. It's cool breaking down film. It kind of helps us kind of talk to it in a different way. Maybe before the next game, we'll jump on here and try to break some film down if we can get to it. But at the end of the day, I think this was obviously a hot topic. We want to touch on this and make sure we kind of get all your guys' feedback. So I hope I got through the comments well enough. I apologize if I missed anybody. again, I appreciate both you guys pulling up with me. Chris, Protect the Show podcast. Severe over at The Severe Raider. I'm 805 Raider at Real Talk Raider Nation. Chat, I appreciate you guys. You guys have been amazing. At one point, over 500 in the building. I think it's the most we've had so far. We're going to keep this thing rolling. So at the end of the day, we're all Raiders. We're all going to cheer for Raiders. We're going to make sure that this continues to go forward, and our Raiders continue to have success, wherever that means, no matter player, no matter coach. We're going to make sure we have success. So I appreciate you guys pulling up. I appreciate the chat pulling up, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Before we get out of here, there's some immortal words that ring true in many situations, right? And I think they're especially true in this situation. And it's bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia.
I love it. And we're going to end with that. Chat, I appreciate you. You guys, I appreciate you. And on the way out, guys, if you guys can hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. Real Talk Raider Nation, Protect the Show podcast, The Severe Raider. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you guys on the next one. We're out.
So cold. I'm so cold.